everybody, and welcome back to the third episode. I am Allie C.
I am Footless Joe.
And we're happy to have you guys on this last and very important installment of Adapting Together an Honest Conversation. Joe, episode 3. Can you believe it?
We made it.
We do what we had to do because we want to for the people.
Exactly.
And that's what we do. We're here to serve. We're here to live. For everybody else, no, we're kidding. But we're excited to have this last episode because we think it's one of those conversations that nobody really touches upon. And although it's a little bit of a kind of tiptoeing conversation, it's one that I'm happy to have with you because you know it best. You've been through it. You have just firsthand experience. And I'm excited to learn from you and really, give our viewers, our audience, kind of the inside scoop of your take. And that is the premise of the word inspiration and what it really means to you, when it's appropriate to use it, not to use it. How do we go forth with breaking that kind of stigma of the word inspiration, and just all around your thoughts about it, because I know you have a lot to say and I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most important things to me, whenever I talk about this word, is that first and foremost, none of this is ever said out of you said the wrong thing, you did a bad thing, because I think we're kind of programmed. The word inspiration is something that people who are visibly disabled hear on a daily basis from friends, family members, random people at coffee shops, when you're checking out at the grocery store. Just people will come up to you and be like, I just want to let you know, I think you're such an inspiration. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking at that from the outside, or at least how I used to look at it, it's like, oh, wow, that's a great thing to be called inspiring. How cool is that, right? Until you're the person on the other side of the exchange. And when I became that person, I noticed from the literal moment that I woke up from my amputation surgery and my husband was posting updates on Facebook, there was comment after comment after comment, which I highly appreciate, but it was just oh, that's interesting. Being like, Joe, you're so inspiring. This is such an inspiration to me. The word inspiring was over and over and over. And then when my story kind of started going out to a lot more people, when it sort of hit the YouTube jackpot and suddenly news outlets were talking about it and stuff like that, every article title had the word inspiring Colorado woman, blah, blah, blah. And again, all incredible. I am not complaining about that for the moment. But I did want to give some insight into sort of how it's perceived, because I am not alone in the fact that when I hear it, I will always say thank you. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say, because I know it's coming from a good place.
Right.
But oftentimes it does not feel good to hear.
Yeah, to hear it.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I've definitely learned only being in the shoes I'm in now, because prior to amputation, I definitely called people inspirational all the time who were amputees or looked different. That's the go-to response. Oh, that's so inspiring.
Because you want them to know that they feel not alone, maybe, and just that they're, I don't want to say different, but that they're doing something great and they're still getting up and doing the normal things every day. But until you really live it yourself, you're like, well, it's not really inspiring. It's just, I got to do it because I got to live. It's just called living.
Yes. I think that's it. That after thinking about it for a while, when someone who knows me, who knows my story, is familiar with things, is hey, Joe, I just want to let you know that this or that you did or you're doing is really inspiring. I take that as the highest compliment and an honor. And it's that's amazing. Mm-hmm. Thank you. But when people who don't really know you, or who coming up to you as you're doing average daily things, are just hey, I want to let you know you're so inspiring, what that does is kind of immediately make you feel like the other. Right. Because you're doing a normal thing, they're doing a normal thing, but you're put on some kind of pedestal for it. And it also is an immediate indication, at least to me, that they see you as different, that they're noticing your disability or difference or whatever it is. And that really the only way we're taught how to respond to people like that is to be that's so inspiring. Yeah. And so I remember one situation in particular. I told this story on other platforms before, but I was going to listen to TED Talks. I love TED Talks. I'm a total nerd about it. One day I will give my own TED Talk. That's my bucket list. Hey, anyone from TED, if you're listening,
they're listening, sign her up. Ready to go.
But I went to listen, and this was shortly after my amputation. I was on a walking crutch, but I was like, good. I was doing good. I just went there to like listen to the speeches. And I couldn't get in the building without more than one person stopping me, not knowing who I am, and just being like, oh my God, you are so inspirational for coming out today. Thank you. In regards specifically to my leg. And though I was, of course, very like cordial and kind, because again, people mean well, it was just like, oh, okay, everyone sees me as different. And also I'm literally walking to my seat. That's all I'm doing. Is the bar really that low?
It really is. It
really is.
That's crazy. And then so you were just like I'm guessing you were thinking about it the whole time, and it kind of just was like maybe not as enjoyable to be there at the end of the day. Or did you want to leave? Like, did you just did you suck it up so you could just stick it out?
Yeah, I definitely did, because I was like, you know what, I get it, all right. But then like kind of after I was done and thinking about it, it just makes you feel you feel kind of other in society anyways, being a disabled person. At least I do. But I function really well. Like I'm able to make connections with people. Okay, great. But when that word comes out, unless it is in reference to something I am doing that is actually exceptional or outside of the norm, it kind of conveys that people don't have an expectation that disabled people would even be out in the world. So if you're doing that, it's like, wow, that's incredible. You went to go get a cup of coffee. Good for you. And it's never meant this way, but it feels very patronizing.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's like so odd to really just have to, and then on your end where you're just like, I guess I'll just say thank you because I don't want to be mean, like, because then what are you supposed to do? Just be like, no, I'm not inspirational. And then you just kind of start this random conversation with a stranger. So if there were to be someone that was listening to this and wanted to say something to someone, would you just advise against it? Or would you say, you know, if that's really what you want to do in the moment, then thank you. But would you maybe say, just think about it like a little bit more before kind of saying it? Or like, what would your take on it be?
I think what would be important for me, because I'll be totally honest, when I hear stories of other people who are going through something like losing 2 limbs at once, or, you know, just something else, and someone tells me that story, it is genuinely my knee-jerk reaction to be like, wow, that's so inspiring. Even though I know what that feels like, it's like, I'm like, this is what I've been taught to do. This is what I'm supposed to say. It's like
what
a
else safe
do I say
word
here?
kind of you just like use in that regard.
100%.
And it feels good. You're like, okay, that's a comfort one. Good.
Yes.
Sounds
and
good.
It's saying nice things. It's, you know, all of that.
You're covering the bases almost.
Yeah, 100%.
With just like, without thinking that it's going to be detrimental to someone's like mental health and the grand scheme of it all, really.
Yeah. And I think what you said, I would totally agree with it. I don't think it's like, it's not a bad or a dirty word. And I would never tell anyone they're wrong for saying it. But I do think it's worth pausing. Like if you're someone who would think of saying that, I think it's worth pausing and being like, am I saying this because I'm seeing someone in public who looks different than me and I can't imagine life like that, and I'm glad that's not my life, and wow, they're doing things anyways, that's incredible. But what they're doing is a fairly mundane thing. I would highly recommend reconsidering your choice of words.
If
someone has just, you know, won an Olympic medal or ran a marathon or whatever it is, and you don't know them, cool. I think like that word definitely fits, right? Things that are actually inspiring to us as people. And I think the other thing to consider is that something can be inspiring to you, but it doesn't always need to be said. Like you can genuinely draw inspiration from the fact that like, wow, if I was in their shoes, I don't know how I would do that. But you don't have to immediately follow up with that, like, hey, I don't know you, but by the way, I just want to let you know you're so inspirational, because it's kind of conveying the fact that you are uncomfortable, at least in some way, with what I am.
I think in that sense, I totally know what you're saying. And I feel as though in life lately, with everything that's going on, we just always want to be on the right side of something, and we don't want to look bad, or we don't want to look like we're being rude to someone, or that we're not acknowledging someone, or that we're not letting something just, we don't want to let it go. Like we almost feel like we need to say something because we live, again, we already talked about this kind of in the last episode, or the first one actually, but the social media of it all, where you just have that flexibility and that feeling to say whatever is on your mind. And then it kind of goes into like real life, where now you're really dealing with face-to-face interactions. And you're forgetting that it's like a human being and not just someone you're like looking at. I don't know. I know what you're saying, but sometimes maybe things are better left unsaid, and like not in a mean way, just in a way like, okay, you know what, I can accept it on my front that like I see you, I see what you're doing, good for you, but maybe just like walk away. Like it doesn't always need to be a conversation unless it comes from a good place, like you're saying, and maybe it's a longer conversation than just like, oh, hey, you're an inspiration. Maybe it's, hey, I'm curious if it's okay with you. Like, would I be able to ask like how this disability has affected you? And like, just a respectful way. If you say no, you say no, you know, and then that's all you can do. But it would just be a better feeling on your end as well, to not just be like, well, here's my coffee. Inspirational is who I am. Cool. And he's like, and the guy you're talking to is like holding the same one. You're like, so you're inspirational too. Yeah. Like that's what I would just like come back and say or something. If someone said like out of pocket type things like that, I'd just be like, oh, so you're inspirational as well, sir. Like, thank you. I know. I'm picturing the interaction as a man. It could be anybody, but I'm just using like one person here. But that's interesting. But I appreciate your take on that. And I think that even I've done it too. Like I am guilty of seeing people and not wanting them to feel less than. So you try to hype them up more, but then that really alternatively like tears them down without you even trying. Yeah. It's so weird how like people want to be so good, but then like the good intentions can like overpower what the person's feeling. So many feelings, so many things.
That's why I totally agree. And that's why I think it's so important when we have these conversations, not to do so with like animosity or judgment, because one of the worst things you can do is when someone's trying to do the right thing and like messes it up, is to be like, how dare you? How dare? Because like the intention is good. The intention does not mean that the harm is erased, but I think it makes so much more sense to be like, I see where you're coming from. However, here's where it's taken. And maybe, you know, it maybe be better to reconsider in the future. And I think the other aspect of it, I kind of touched on this, but it feels very objectifying to be called inspiring all the time, everywhere you turn. Like I would really challenge someone to find an article about any disabled person ever doing anything where the title or the main point of it isn't like, wow, how inspiring. And it really, it just feels like being objectified. And you'll see like these motivational or posters or whatever, where it's like some guy in a wheelchair lifting weights and it's like, what's your excuse? And I forget who coined this term, but in this community, we like to call that kind of like inspiration porn, because someone looks at that for a second and they're like, oh yeah, cool, that's amazing, awesome, fantastic. But it doesn't actually mean anything. You're just objectifying the person there, their disability, and using it. And I personally don't enjoy that or like it, because it's like there's a lot more going on. And to just be used as a way for people to feel better about their own lives for 2 seconds. It doesn't really feel good. It's not really like a cute moment. And when you're saying about the wheelchair and kind of like the lifting weights, it brings me to I was talking to Amy Bream, who is absolutely awesome, and she's a badass. And she was like, yeah, so, you know, I go to the gym, and my coach was like, yeah, I might go like take it a little bit easy. And she's like, for what? Like, excuse me? Like, I am able, I'm ready to go, I'm after it. And I was like, okay, let's push you to your limit kind of thing. And so it was funny to hear her say that, because in my mind, I'm thinking like, what's the limit? Like, what is the limitation with someone that, you know, is it going to be too hard? Like, is the incline going to be too crazy? Is the sweat going to get like too crazy? Like, but those are just things that you go and you do. And as you go, you adjust. And that's just the way that you live. And as someone who is able, and if I'm going to the gym, okay, what if my bra is like off my like side? You have to adjust that. Or what if you like don't have something? You adjust to what you adapt. You adapt, you figure it out the way you would figure it out, or I would figure it out, or anybody that's going through anything. It's just what works for you, you know? And it's not saying that you can't do something because you look like this, or you have one leg, or you have one arm. It's like, no, you can do it in your own way. And that's the important thing. I think that we sometimes get lost, and we just want to like go to the end goal of saying, oh, well, you're just such an inspiration because you are different in that aspect. But I guess if you take it back to the first step, you're like, hey, well, what makes you an inspiration? Like, you're just going through whatever you're going through as anybody else would go through as well. I think that if that makes kind of sense in my head, I think it's just different. You know, it's just different. It's not a bad thing to be different. I think that's another thing. Like we think of the word, you think of the word different, you're like bad.
bad. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it's just, and I hate the word, like, even though I don't know if you use this word, but when people say like unique, I'm like, is that bad or good? Like, I don't, like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like,
right, yeah.
I like put that one aside, but like different's cool, because it's like, why would we all want to be the same anyways? And at the end of the day, we are our own individual people, and what we bring to the table is awesome. If we all just sat here and just did the same thing, and we're all these same jean jackets,
right?
we'd be so boring. Like, no one would want to even like talk to us, or there would be nothing exciting to learn or to see, or any of those things. So I think, you know, it's great to know that there is all this diversity in the world, and not just people wearing jean jackets.
Right?
Just not the jean jacket clan. Although, you know, when you do go out in Boston, you see about 30 girls wearing the same jean jacket. I'm like, okay, so maybe we should switch up the wardrobe. No, no, a lot of good fashion on the streets, though. I gotta say, shout out to all the girls that have been upping their game, and Joe has been upping her game too, which kind of segues me into an exciting topic, which Joe has been asked to be what would you say, an ambassador, or on the campaign of a spokesperson for the Association of Migraine Disorder.
Yes.
Am I right? And
that's
this
correct.
Girly has a billboard in Times Square.
What? Who am I? This doesn't make sense. Watch
out. And her outfit. So this is pre-recorded, but we're talking about outfits. So I'm excited to see what the outfit is when you post about it, and like how they react.
Absolutely. But it'll be out by the time this is published.
I'm so excited. So when Joe told me, I had to take a second. I said, the real Times Square? You were like, yeah, the real one. I was like, huh. I was like, so like a movie type moment. She's like, yeah. And I said, wow, I know someone who's on a billboard. And I think that's the coolest thing. So walk me through that experience and how that all came to be, and what your feeling was when it happened, and how excited you are about it. Because I think I'm like being ridiculously excited, but I'm just so excited for you.
It's so sweet.
So
I love it.
I'm so pumped.
So good.
I love that.
So I was, the Association of Migraine Disorders reached out to me for their Shades for Migraine campaign, which is where during the month of June, you wear a pair of sunglasses, post your support, tag Shades for Migraines, tag a couple people to kind of challenge them to do the same thing, because there are millions and millions of people worldwide who live with migraine, many who don't even know that they do, because getting diagnosed is really difficult. So it's like to spread awareness. And I'm someone who's dealt with chronic migraines for years now, and it is honestly way harder than living without a leg. Yeah. It's so disabling. Like, that's the best use of that word I can ever think of. But after I signed on with them, because I was like, yes, absolutely, let's do the Shades for Migraines thing. Let's wear sunglasses. Let's talk about it. Let's get people involved. Let's spread awareness. They sent me a message. They're like, hey, by the way, there's this opportunity for you to be in Times Square. Is that something you would be interested in doing? And I was like, I'm not even going to try to play this cool. Yes.
Yes, sirree. Like on the dot, you're like responding like as he's typing the words. Times Square. You're like, yep,
absolutely. Yep. Don't even know what it involves. Absolutely count me in.
Sign me up. I'm there. Doesn't matter. Get me to New York.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was fantastic. It's so fun. I'm very excited to, I booked tickets out there with my husband to go see it for literally, we're going to be in New York for like 12 hours. Like just enough to see it, turn around, come back home.
And all the
this isn't going to happen again.
No, first off, never going to happen again. Once in a lifetime moment, your Super Bowl, and you're going to look like the biggest, brightest, loveliest thing on the street whilst taking a picture with your billboard. I mean, I've got to rock it. That. I'm so excited. This is how I genuinely reacted last time, but I'm like, I'm thinking about it.
She was so sweet and encouraging.
If you guys see, okay, listen, if anyone lives in New York out there, Times Square, get out there, take a picture, post it, tag Joe, just tag me at this point, because I just
you're a part of this right now.
Repost everything. I'm so excited for you. I honestly, so I live in Boston, for those that don't really know. Come stalk me, I guess. Please don't. But I could just like straight up go either drive up there. My car might not make it. I have a little bit of car issues. But you know, the train's looking dandy. So maybe I'll take like a little moment. And so when is the billboard? I know you said 11 days. Or
yes,
what?
So it is going up this weekend, and it will be up until I believe the 12th.
So this weekend is June 3rd, and as we're recording this, so that's gonna be, and then you said the 12th?
Yep, until the 12th. Yeah.
So I really I gotta drag myself over there. Not drag, but like get and go over there. But that's so exciting. And yes, like I said again, guys, if you are, looking to see any cool cool billboards in Times Square. I can't even see anything. Flustered. That's where Joe will be. So Joe, one last thing I really want to ask you about. This was a podcast about, really breaking stigmas and talking about honest and real conversations, but we also want to just give a little bit of insight into the product of like what the liner wand is, because we want to talk about it, but we don't want to be overbearing about it. But we know that the reason why we're here today is because that's how it all came to be. I don't really remember if we sent you like a sample and you liked it. I feel like that was so long ago, because
it was.
What year is it at this point? Nobody knows.
A couple months.
Feels like legit 7 years. But so I have the kit here, and I want to show the people. I feel like it's going to be backwards. It is. It 100% is. You're 100% backwards. Pretend you guys can read backwards. But basically, this is the liner one kit. It is a 3-month subscription, and you can also pay monthly. So say you want to pay monthly, but you'll still get the kit in full for 3 months. So has a little bit of like what we do. It's made with apricot and isopropyl. I always say that a little bit weird, so bear with me on that one. And so for 2 weeks, it reduces sweat, makes the liner a little bit more grip-like on like from your skin to the liner, and fights off bacteria byproducts. So I know people say, well, I'm good with bleach. How about not? We want you to be safe. We want it to be something that lasts long, something that, you're not worried about, and it's easy, it's convenient. It's something that you can just plop right out, take it, and you paint it like a paintbrush. Yeah. So Joe, talk about it for a little bit, because I personally don't use this, but I know you do. So give a little bit of your input on the situation here.
So I think we originally connected, a couple months ago, and you guys sent me one of your boxes to kind of try, and if I wanted to, then we could talk about it, kind of partner together. And after trying it, I was like, oh my God, I need to be working with this company, because more people genuinely, from like the depths of my sincere soul, more amputees need to know about this, because it was so helpful for me. And also so easy to use. And since talking about it, a lot of people have reached out and been like, oh, that looks kind of cool. And I'm like, yes, get it, because it's worth it. The biggest thing for me, honestly, is, so if you're not an amputee and you're listening, many amputees, when they wear prosthetics, there's a liner, a piece that is like in contact with your skin, and it doesn't breathe. Because it needs to stick to your skin so that your prosthesis can stick to it. That does mean that you are significantly more at risk for skin issues, for bacteria issues, potentially for infections if you're not taking care of things. Hygiene is really, 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 really important.
Very important.
And it's an extra step every day to have to like clean your liner at the end of the day. Some days you might forget it, and it's easy to just let hygiene slip, but it can have life-altering consequences, because this is something you wear every day. And also something that's kind of gross, but we're here for real talk.
We're here.
Sweat will like build up in there and pool, right? And so it starts smelling not great. And even using like normal kinds of solutions, like I was always using this like white bar soap, unscented. And it worked somewhat, but I noticed using the liner one, I was like, it's gone. It doesn't smell weird anymore. This is the best.
It was nice. It's probably like a nice feeling to finally have something that you're like, okay,
it's like,
this might work for a little while. So yeah, Joe has some amazing TikToks on it too. So if you guys want to go check out some of those, the sweat pouring out, my favorite one. She takes off her liner and just like casually, just like bloop. I'm like, yo, that's sweat, not a joke. But you're an active gal. You're doing stuff.
Exactly. I was like getting off a bike and like you can literally sometimes pour sweat out of your liner, which is a disgusting.
I mean, it's reality. It's what it is. So you take it out like this, and then it has this lovely, like we said, Vanaway. Don't mind the missing brush in here. I don't know where it is. Pretend it's there. It looks exactly like this one. And so basically we have the liner wands themselves, which come in these little packaging moments here. And you're supposed to use 2 per coating, just depending on your liner, depending on how much space it really is. And for those who are double, quadruple amputees, we would love to work with you personally, because we know that this would not be enough for just like one-time use type of thing. So we're more than happy to kind of accommodate for those who have more needs, no problem at all. So you would take these cute little guys out here, shake them up, pop it 1, 2, and then you just paint it like a paintbrush pretty much. And it kind of just stays on, you let it dry and do your thing, which is really great. And then we were like, okay, so if we're going to do that, then we want to get the whole 9 in there. Let's clean this. And so this brush, do you like the brush? Or
yes. Oh yeah, I definitely
is it
do.
good?
It's great.
And so this side is a little bit more like, foamy like, and then this side gets kind of like in the grittiness of it all. And we want to say, why not just keep on going and use this, which is our like non-soap cleanser. So it's fragrance free, it's dye free, pH balanced, and of course liner safe. I would say no more than what, like I tell people a dime size when you're using this, but if you need more, go for it, but it will last you the whole 3 months. And so will these wands, again, depending on your liners, then we'll definitely have to make accommodations. But for those who are just having one liner, it works quite well. And the summer's here. Okay, we're hot. We're getting after it. We're going to pools, beaches, bars. Bars are back open. Very excited. And so we want to make sure people are ready to go at all times. So we said, what would be the best way to carry everything? And we have this little guy right here. This little liner one kit, travel size guy.
So
very cute, very like loose. I feel like such an influencer. I'm like, look at this bag, my haul. It fits these wands in there perfectly, so you can travel and not worry about it. Because, or if you want to take off the little card, more than happy to, whatever suits your fancy. But it's super convenient. And I know that the world is kind of getting back into that little normal swing, which I'm excited about. So, if you're out and about and you're wanting to clean your liner and you're like, oh my goodness, what do I do? These will be here for you. So these are on our website, but we don't really talk about them a lot. I don't know why, but they're honestly great. And honestly, I use this for myself sometimes when like I'll go somewhere.
It's like tiny little tote.
Yeah, my tiny little tote bag just hanging out like at the bar. Yeah. Like, oh, you guys don't know the liner one? Kind of weird. No, but let me tell you about it. But yeah, super convenient, super easy. We have a lot more information. Joe is an absolute wizard when it comes to making TikToks and reels and all that jazz. So she has posted a lot of that for us, which is absolutely great. I cannot lie. Every time I see a post, I'm like, okay. I'm like, thanks, Joe. And so check it out if you guys are interested. And of course, all the links for everything will be in the description. And before we wrap this up, we want to let you guys know that we're going to be doing a live Q&A kind of deal on the Liner Wands Instagram, and Joe will be joining. And we're just going to make it a live Q&A conversation, talking about this little segment right here, if there's any more questions. And I know that I'm going to be posting this on the 18th, I believe. So if you have any questions for the upcoming Q&A, comment on this post on Instagram, or when it's on YouTube, comment down below. Or if you just want to DM us, either of us, we're very open ladies. We talk about whatever. We're always on our phones, maybe too much. We're trying to find that balance, but it's hard not to. Always be on your phone, but I'm trying. We're really trying. And then one last thing. So I guess I lied. One more last thing is that on June 25th, we are hosting our monthly Communi-TEE Social with Jami Marseilles and Sarah Reinerston. Sorry if I got those last names a little bit wrong. I tried my best. Joe really helped me to come through on those last names. But basically, Jami will be discussing her story, how she became a double amputee, and her best friend Sarah is going to be moderating the event. It's all on Zoom. It's all free. And if you do sign up, you also get you are entering to win a chance to win their book, and it will be signed. So I think that will be a great little incentive to kind of come through, because the book looks awesome. So I'm excited about that. And it's a good way to meet new people too. It's all over the computer. I was gonna say over the Zoom, but it is over Zoom. But the interwebs, the interwebs of the peoples, so it's nice because you don't have to go anywhere specifically, but you can just log right in, super quick, super easy. And it's for about an hour. So it's a nice way to like connect and, like I said, meet new people, but also like hear new people's stories. And one last thing is Joe actually wrote an article for the Liner Wand, which is awesome. It was like covering mental health. And I know May was Mental Health Awareness Month, but we don't stop the conversation here. So we want to make sure that people are kind of always having a place to turn. We can turn to Joe, turn to us, and turn to some of our articles that may help you with, different topics, such as the mental health piece, such as, the traveling piece, what to do when you're traveling as an amputee. And there's a lot more articles on there. So really stay tuned. And this has been a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you so much all for listening. Thank you, Allie, for being a fantastic podcast.
Please stop. I got this mic just for you. I'm going to keep using this mic wherever I need it now. I'm so excited. Someday, be kind to people and keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.